This morning, Dave Rubin had Vivek Ramaswamy on his show, The Rubin Report. And you guys know I am a huge, massive fan of Vivek Ramaswamy. I absolutely adore this man. I spent some time with him on the campaign trail in Iowa, but he had something quite interesting to say about our founding fathers and how we continue their legacy of fighting, even when it's difficult, of embracing the consequences, even when they are dire, of preserving liberty in the midst of this what he calls 1776 moment we find ourselves in 2024.
Our founding fathers made immense sacrifices that in their era were deemed to be impossible in 1776. A backwater nation, a collection of eastern seaboard colonies, ended up defeating arguably the most powerful empire in the world at the time in a way that nobody thought. It required great sacrifice. 56 men who signed the Declaration of Independence went on to have their land seized. 12 of them had their homes ransacked and burned to the ground by the British. 5 of them had their own private property seized, but they were also captured and tortured themselves by the British. I think 9 of them died in the Revolutionary War. 3 more of them had their kids die in the Revolutionary War. Well, I do think that there's a reason they made those sacrifices, is that they beat the odds to achieve what was necessary. They believed whatever is necessary is always possible. And I think we have to cling to that same belief today. Donald Trump, I am saddened by this reality, but the truth of the matter is, you cited what I said at the Iowa caucus. Well, now where are we sitting just 9 short months later? There have been 2 assassination attempts in a period of 3 months. It's disgusting. They've had multiple attempts, this time in the case of the government, to remove him from the ballot. They've had attempts to prosecute him. All that's coming from the government. But the reality is, whether it's the individual one-off, actions here of crazy people taking literally gunshots at the U.S. president, to even a systematic response of the U.S. government trying to prosecute him in the middle of an election on multiple different cases at the same time, extrajudicially trying to remove him from the ballot without going through even the court system to do it, civil cases, you name it. Yeah, you have a system that has an allergic response to not just one man, but the movement that he represents.
An allergic response to a movement of American citizens saying to the government, you do not own me. You do not control my rights. You do not control my lifestyle. You do not control the thoughts in my head and the values in my heart. And I love how he ties this back to the signatories of the Declaration of Independence, our founding fathers. Because as he said, those individuals didn't just risk putting their name out there and their public reputation and losing their job for saying that they wanted to start a revolutionary concept of a new nation that the world had never seen before. Those individuals paid a price. Some of them put their lives at risk during the Revolutionary War. Most of them, as you heard from Vivek, which is never taught to us in school, by the way, had their property seized, were tortured by the enemy in times of warfare, had all kinds of lifestyle issues, and were targeted physically, their own safety, their own lives put at risk, their families put at risk for doing so. But they knew the cost of saying nothing. They knew the cost of doing nothing was far too great for the world at large than sitting down and shutting up. Consequences be damned. And in case you need the little extra reminder in this process, these weren't individuals who had their lives all put together perfectly. These weren't highly accomplished, well-established men decades into their careers who were very well respected around the world. Our founding fathers, the day they signed the Declaration of Independence, were educated, absolutely, but in some ways ragtag punk rock patriots who were in their teenage years or early 20s, literally giving the middle finger to the rest of the world and saying humanity deserves better. James Monroe was only 18 years old on July 4th, 1776. Aaron Burr was only 20. John Marshall was only 20. Alexander Hamilton was only 21. Betsy Ross, when she made our flag, was 24. James Madison was 25. Thomas Jefferson was only 33 on July 4th, 1776. And if our founding fathers then had the courage, had the guts to put everything at risk, their lives, their safety, everything they own on the line to say people deserve better. Humanity deserves liberty. Your rights come from God, not from the government. And I will fight for that until my last dying breath. Consequences be damned. Then we need to prepare to do that too. In fact, they begged us to. They put that baked into the very Declaration of Independence itself, that the American people have a right and a responsibility to fight like that should the government ever become corrupt to the level that it was when they had to establish America to begin with. Real courage looks like quiet acts of bravery, one choice at a time. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble, and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. The First Amendment to the Constitution of the United States. Nowhere in that text does it say, well, it's okay to abridge your freedom of speech if you're spreading misinformation. It's okay to take away your freedom of speech if you disagree with the government. In fact, it literally point blank says that you can have grievances against the government, and that is a fully legal right that you are entitled to as an American. It doesn't say that we can take away your freedom of speech if the people in positions of power just really disagree with what you're saying and think that we should be telling people the exact opposite of that because they're the ones in charge now and you're not. No, it is very clean and very simple. Congress shall make no law abridging your freedom of speech. Period. Full stop. I look back on that particular amendment being added to our Constitution in 1789. And I think about what our founding fathers must have been thinking about then as it might pertain to American culture and society today. Obviously, I don't really think there's any way that they could have predicted how absolutely out of control and insane things have gotten in less than 250 years. But I do think there was a wisdom there in knowing that this had to be, as an amendment and as a document at large with the Constitution, as clean cut and dry as possible to say, period, full stop. This is an inalienable right that belongs to you because it's given to you by God, not by us. And we can't take that away. That's just reality for the human condition if you truly are living in freedom. Congress shall make no law abridging the freedom of speech. Period. Full stop. Not to criminally prosecute you or lock you up in jail or fine you $500,000 because you are spreading whatever the powers that be want to deem as misinformation. When they spread misinformation every 5 freaking seconds, by the way. But when we think about the continued fight for the very freedom of expression itself, let alone to challenge the narrative, we cannot be afraid of the consequences of speaking the truth and of doing what is right, even when it is difficult. And that is how you maintain a free country, a free nation, a free society. And I cannot recommend, if you guys haven't already made prayer a part of your daily routine, downloading the world's largest Christian prayer app, Hallow, Hallow. They have more than 10,000 original prayers, meditations, history podcasts, lifestyle podcasts, mental health resources, everything you can possibly imagine that has totally transformed my prayer life and that of almost every single one of you as well. Hallow is offering you a 3-month free trial to all of the incredible content on their platform. If you go right now to hallow.com/Isabel, HALLOW.com/Isabel. And our friends over at Public Square, America's largest leading marketplace for small businesses that are all pro-family, pro-faith, and pro-freedom, and pro-actual science, by the way, actually got their start out in the beautiful state of California. They are changing how we spend money in America one day at a time, realizing that where we spend our dollars is where culture is going to thrive. If you are looking for businesses to support that share your values, check them out at publicsquare.com. And if you are a business owner of any kind, make sure you add your small business to Public Square to connect with customers who share your values too. I'm so glad glad, by the way, that there are companies that are trying to get to the actual truth of matters like this and in standing for women in general. Just one of which happens to be my amazing friends over at Garu. Garu is the only period product company on the market that insists only women can menstruate. Thank you for that, by the way, Garu, because we need a whole lot more of that. And their pads, their tampons, and their menstrual cup products are all 100% organic and completely non-toxic. I have noticed a huge change in my cycle since switching to Garu products, and I cannot begin to recommend them enough to you, especially after we just found out that most leading tampon brands have arsenic and lead in them if you're buying them at Target or the grocery store. You can get a discount on your first order to Garu if you click the link in the description of this video. And please, please, please embrace the same courage that they are in standing up for real womanhood in 2024 and beyond.